The battle in Germany is not yet over, and the battle in the United States is already in full swing. This week, a cardinal and a bishop have openly confronted their German colleagues, telling them that what they're doing they have no right to do, and that it is clearly a heresy. Cardinal Müller, who is also German, said it is a heretical denial of church teaching. Archbishop Aquila, Archbishop of Denver, in a long, thoughtful letter to the bishops of Germany, also told them in a different manner not to try to subject the doctrine of the church to the demands of the world, and that besides they cannot do so. This in regard to the battle in Germany, but the battle in the United States has also begun. The bishops decided to bring to the plenary assembly the question of whether or not pro-abortion politicians, including President Biden, could whether receive communion or not. The Vatican intervened, the doctrine of the faith intervened, saying that if the issue had to be debated, it should not be a cause for division, and that in the last instance the right of each bishop in his diocese should be respected. Well, but now more than 60 bishops, there are more than 400 in the United States, more than 60 bishops have written a letter to the President of the Episcopal Conference, Bishop Gomez, asking that this topic be withdrawn from the plenary assembly. Immediately, other bishops have come out and said that it has to be debated as planned. Battle in Germany and battle in the United States. And everything revolves around the same thing. Everything revolves around the essential about the Eucharist. The question began, it is easy to remember because it was not so long ago, with the Amoris Laetitia. What was raised there as an exception, the possibility of an exceptional way that the divorced and civilly remarried could receive communion, seen case by case, the possibility of this happening in a very rare instances, well, it was expected that naturally this would be generalized. And in fact, it's happened in many places. Everyone who wants to receive communion receives communion. Well, then came, always about the same issue, the invitation of the president of the German bishops to the Protestants to receive communion if they wanted to receive communion. The Eucharist always. And now comes again the Eucharist if the abortionist politicians who are excommunicated, excommunion late sententia, automatic excommunion, if they can or cannot receive communion, always the Eucharist at the center. The devil knows well what he's doing. The Eucharist is the main reason for the devil's attack because it is the Lord. And the devil knows that if he destroys the Eucharist, he destroys the church. There are other issues, such as the blessing of homosexual couples, which I'm not saying are not important, but the real war that is being fought is around the Eucharist. The respect that the Lord deserves, the conditions that must be met to receive the Lord truly present in the Eucharist. Now, if we go deeper, we realize that there is what Archbishop Aquila, the Archbishop of Denver, said. That there is another issue, and in reality, the problem is in the adaptation of the Church to the world. An adaptation that is made or is intended to be made in the name of mercy. In the name of mercy, the divorced and civilly remarried must receive communion. As it was said at the time, poor mother, when her child's communion day comes and she can receive communion. The divorced and civilly remarried can receive communion without any problem. Not an exceptional case that must be seen with care, no. Anyone who wants can receive communion in the name of mercy. The Protestant, it is called Eucharistic hospitality, well, can receive communion in the name of mercy. Or the one who is favoring abortion, in the name of mercy. It is a concept not only wrong, but profoundly negative of mercy. It is as if we say that in the name of mercy, the thief can steal. The one who beats women can continue to beat them, or the terrorist can continue to put bombs. That is not mercy. Mercy can be had with people, and in addition when people are repentant. But mercy cannot be had with crime, it cannot be had with evil. I know that these are comparisons that perhaps are a little exaggerated, but to be understood, you cannot have mercy on sin. You have mercy on the sinner when the sinner asks for forgiveness. I repeat, it is a wrong concept of mercy which is being used. I believe that those who use it know well that they are wrong. It is being used to devalue the doctrine, to adapt the teaching of the Church to the world. Now, if this is done, if in the name of mercy those things of the gospel that are not interesting because they go against their objectives are removed, that adaptation of the teaching of the Church, of the Word of God to the world, if in the name of mercy that of the one who eats and drinks the body and blood of Christ without being prepared eats and drinks his own damnation is suppressed, for example, if 2,000 years of church history, of church tradition are suppressed, saying that those who defend it are rigid, that they are anchored in the letter and that they are not open to the Spirit, if that is suppressed, then others will decide that it can be suppressed, for example, that of I was hungry and you gave me to eat, or come blessed of my Father, or come cursed of my Father, or that one can suppress that of take and eat, this is my body, or that one can suppress that of what you have done to the least, you have done to me, or that one can suppress that of love your enemies, or that it is possible to suppress, for example, that of you are Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church. And if that is suppressed, because it is considered to have simply a symbolic meaning or an honorary primacy, if that is suppressed, what remains as a point of reference? As unity in the church? And that is where the paradox occurs. Those who are on the side of the adaptation of the church to the world, as the Archbishop of Denver said, those who are on the side of the adaptation of the church to the world present themselves as friends of the Pope and act with impunity against the teachings of the church, even against the recent teachings of the church, the recent teachings of the Vatican with Pope Francis at the head. Acting with impunity, they are devaluing everything, starting with the Eucharist and continuing with the Papacy. On the other hand, those who are accused of being enemies of the Pope, accused, I am not saying that they are, those who are accused of being enemies of the Pope are those who are defending the integral doctrine, the Eucharist, and the Papacy as well. The friends of the Pope attack the Papacy, and the alleged and accused enemies of the Pope defend the Papacy. This is more than a civil war. This is already a schizophrenia. This is madness. And if a house in civil war collapses, as the Lord said, let alone a church that has entered into a real frenzy of madness and of nonsense, it cannot be that those who are defending the adaptation of the church to the world, of the teaching and doctrine to the world, can act with impunity, eroding even the Eucharist and the Papacy. It cannot be. Because in the end, if that happens, I repeat, house after house will fall. If the Eucharist falls and the Papacy falls, everything will fall. Let us humbly and persistently ask the Lord to please resolve this as soon as possible, and that so much suffering may end as soon as possible. See you next time, God willing.